Okay, getting Mayit or Guten Mayit all. We're in Masechta Saita, and we're off the Daf Yud. We're up to Tes Amid Beis. Just to go ahead and reiterate, we're discussing Shimshon Mashiach Shal B'Yisrael. We're discussing the enigma of Shimshon. Just to go over the Pelishtim, because of a shvua that Avram made, a bris that Avram made with Avimelech, were a sore in the eyes of the Klal Yisrael. They're really a pain. I mentioned the other day, Azza is still a pain. Azza is still a pain in the Klal Yisrael. It's an amazing thing. Shimshon's job was to get rid of the Pelishtim. When Yaakov Avinu was nisnave by Shevet Dan, he was nisnave over one individual, Dan, which was Shimshon. And he thought he was seeing the Mashiach until finally he sighs and says, Lishuasa Kibisi Hashem. To your Yeshua, we want a Kadosh Baruch Hu, not the Yeshua of a bus of Adam who was not successful. And Shimshon's job was to get rid of the Pelishtim. What Shimshon did was he had to go ahead and make it a personal vendetta against the Pelishtim rather than a nationalistic one. He had to fight as Shimshon the individual rather than Shimshon part of Klal Yisrael. The way he did it was to live with the Pelishtim. He married a Pelishtim woman. We saw the Rambam that don't let it into your mind that he lived with a woman that he wasn't Megayah. In fact, he was Megayah. But the story of Shimshon was very, very sad. He lived with this woman and he told her a riddle, and then they figured out the riddle, and he killed 30 Pelishtim to get their clothing. Then he goes down. He's with an Isha Zona, and they're going to capture him. And he escapes and he carries off the doors of the city to scare the people again. On and on, till finally he meets a woman in Nachal Sorek named Delilah, who eventually he does fall in love with, and eventually he does reveal his fact that he was a Nazir, and that leads to his downfall. The Pelishtim cut off his hair, and he does an unbelievable thing. And they blind him. We're going to see the story. And in his death, he went ahead and he knocked down, of course, the famous. There was a festival. They brought them all together. I think on the roof alone there were 3,000 people. And he said he killed more people in his death than he did his lifetime. But ultimately, he failed in his mission to get rid of the Pelishtim. But that's the sad story of Shimshon. Be aware, it's Tzaddik Yisayid Olam. Again, some people throughout Chazal we tend to judge. But we should always be aware we're judging them based upon what Chazal reveals to us. In other words, it would have been much easier for Chazal never to speak about the Ma'aseh of David and Bathsheba. But because of the limudim that are there to learn, we saw Gemara in Shabbos, that because of that, the Hukam Oil Shal Tshuva, there's so many positive things that you got as a result of it, right? We leave it to the discretion of the person who's really interested in learning rather than the discretion of the person who has his own weaknesses and wants to find flaws in the people who are mentioned in Tanakh. And Shimshon is one of those characters that one might think in any shape or form. Do not go ahead in any shape or form think with the derogatory of Shimshon. Again, he did unbelievable things, but again, we're in the middle of the sad story of Shimshon. Okay, with that Hakdama, let's begin on Tes Amid Beis. On Tes Amid Beis, says the Gemara. For who Yachal Ashias Yisrael? It says that he is going to be a Nazir, and this Nazir from Ibeten is going to be the one who begins to be Mashiach Shal B'Yisrael. He's going to begin. So on the word Yachel, Amar Rav Chama Breb Chanina, Amid Aleph, Huchal Shvuasa Shal Avimelech. The shvua that I mentioned that Avram had made with Avimelech had gone ahead and he was Mechal. He made Chulin. He didn't keep his word. Memela, since he didn't keep his word, the Chsiv, it says, Avram Avinu says, Avimelech said to Avram Avinu that he should swear by HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he won't deal negatively with his son or his grandson. So they had made a deal, and the Pelishtim, obviously, by oppressing Klal Yisrael, were over on the deal. So therefore, since they were over the deal, Shimshon wasn't bound to keep the deal, and therefore he began to be Mashiach Shal B'Yisrael. It says Vayigdal Anar Vayivarcheu. Now it's very funny. The Pesukim here in Shimshon do not go in order. I don't know why, but they're broken up into parts. It says anyway, Vayigdal Yeled Vayivarcheu. He grew up, and he Vayivarcheu, Kadosh Baruch Hu benched him. What did he bench him with? Rav Yehuda Amarav Bercheu ba'amasle. He blessed him in his aver. Amasle k'bnei Adam. However, v'zaroi cannot If he had his zera, it was very, very strong, very powerful. And as a result, this is Shimshon went after his taiva, I guess, in a sense. Vayikra Shimshon al Hashem, Vayomer Hashem. This is after he's captured.
Why is that a bracha?
What?
Why is that a bracha?
But the bracha, Rashi brings that the bracha is always in ribuy. If you look, Rashi and the ribuy over here, where do we find in Shimshon? We don't find any other place of ribuy except the Gemara is going to mention that the ribuy was that he was able to have children. That's a bracha. That be able to have children is a bracha, right? That's the bracha that he was very his zera was very potent. That's the bracha. So now it says Vayikra Shimshon al Hashem, Vayomer Hashem Elokim Zachreni no. This is after he was captured. Remember me, Chaskeni no. He says it the second time. Achapam, I said this one time. He was willing to give up. He was willing to go ahead. Let me take revenge for one of my eyes from the Plishtim. Amar says Amarav Amar Shimshon l'fnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu Rebbeinu Shalom Zachali Esem Shana. Remember 20 years Sheshvati Es Yisrael that I was the judge of Klal Yisrael. V'yamati lecha mehem haveli makom. I didn't ask someone bring me my stick from place to place. Shimshon, guys, was crippled. Shimshon had crutches. He was a cripple, and he never abused his position to go ahead and ask anyone to bring his sticks to him. And again, you think of Shimshon as looking like some fantastic Hulk. It's not true. But Shimshon, the feats of strength that he did was superhuman. No person could have done it. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the ability to do something, you could look like a little nothing, a 90-pound weakling, and do it. It doesn't make a difference. Again, it's a mistake that we make. Learn Samson, right? Shimshon Akibor, but it's Narishkeit, guys. It's Narishkeit. It wasn't like that at all. Anyway, he was the judge for 20 years, as we're going to see. Not only was the judge for 20 years, it says 40 years. But they were so scared to Plishtim, even 20 years after his death, they left the Jews alone. And he says the eyes of a person are Klal Yisrael. Shimshon was willing to give half his oil mahaba to accomplish his life's mission, which was what to destroy the Plishtim. Vayelech Shimshon, and something else with Shimshon, Shimshon when he did something, he captured 300 foxes. Vayilkat Shloshem Yeshualim, and he put a torch between their tails, and he let it run through the fields of the Plishtim, thus destroying their agriculture. That's what happened. Maishna Shualim, why dafka foxes? Amar Abavo, by Nagdi, Amar Avchia Baraba, Amar Shimshon, Yovay Misha Choyzel Achoyrav, let the animal that walks back into its den, the Yiporimi Plishtim Shechazon Pishvuasan, and take what revenge from the Plishtim who went back on their Shvua. Again, a lot of Mida Keneged Mida and Shimshon, and even with the foxes, the Mida Keneged Mida. Tanya, Amar Rav Shimon, HaChassid, Rav Shimon the Chassid, Ben Ksefel Rav Shimon, Shishim Amahaya. The shoulders of Shimshon was 60 amas. Again, not to be taken literally. 60 amas is between 90 and 120 feet. No person in the history of the world has been, again, unless you're Roig Melech HaBashar, no person has been like that. So obviously, it's referring to his massive strength, because it says, again, he wanted to scare the Plishtim. What did he do? It says, Vayashkev Shimshon at Chatzi Alayla. He got up in the middle of the night. Vayakam b'Chatzi Alayla, Vayechois b'Dalsei Shara'ir. He picked up the gates of the city, Ubishtem Uzuzais, and the two side posts. And he carried them with their lock on his shoulders. And what did that do? We have a Messiah that they were so 60 amas wide. So the assumption is that he was 60 amas, but it doesn't mean literally he was strong enough to carry it. After Shimshon was captured, it says literally he was grinding in the Beis Hasurim. So the idea is that he was walking around on a grill, working a stone, using and grinding wheat. However, we have a euphemism over there. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, ain't china ela lashon aveira. It's a lashon of an aveira of znus. V'cheinu oimer titchan la'acher ishti. Said another person should be grind with his other man's wife. Malamed shekol echad v'echad hevi le'asishtay lebeis hasurim. Each person would bring their wives beis hasurim kadei shetisar behimeno, in order that she get pregnant from Shimshon. That the people say it's very fair to say that Shimshon actually had relations with these women, right? But the fact that we know that a person, what they think about b'shas tashmish could affect the child, right? So therefore, they used to bring that, have tashmish in front of Shimshon, that the women should look at Shimshon, that the children should be strong like Shimshon, that they didn't actually have relations, but with him, but looking at him. This would explain that the Indian of that bracha of Zerah that I brought in earlier. Albeit, be aware, I don't remember where I saw it, from Rav Matas Atzal, that Goliath was a product of Shimshon, of one of the women who Shimshon had been with, and therefore he had unbelievable strength. There's such a, I mean, I wish I had the source to tell you, but I remember from Ramratis in the Torah Ladas, he spoke it out. He spoke it out. So again, anyway, Amra Papa, Hainu Damianshi, people say, Kame deshase chamra chamra. Before someone likes to drink wine, you bring wine. Kame refoika grida duvla, right? You bring, before a gardener, you bring vegetables. So to Shimshon, who was involved with Plishtim women, ultimately they brought Plishtim women to him. Anyone who's Zana, he is an adulterer, his wife will be an adulteress. Shnemar, im nifta libi al isha vel pesach rei arvasi. My heart was ever seduced by a woman. I was ever by the door of my neighbor. Ukasir says titchan la'acher ishti v'leha yichmun acher. The lashon of titchan, that's why they brought it in. Let someone else be with your wife, and a stranger should be with her. V'hainu dami inshi iu bikari. He is with big pumpkins. B'isasabi butzini, and his wife is with small pumpkins. They both mean pumpkins. One is bigger, one is smaller, meaning they're both involved in the same thing. Shimshon dones Yisrael kavim sheshmayim. Shimshon don yod nesav shnema don yod nesamay. Shimshon judged like a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Like Shimshon judged, again, he was a judge. He wasn't just, again, you think of him as just being this, walking around doing crazy things. He spent his time, he was being a shofet. So he judged like a Kodesh Baruch Hu. As it says by Yaakov Avinu, Don Yodanama Kachet Shifti Yisrael. Shimshon al Shmoy Shel Kodesh Baruch Hu Nekro. He was called after Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shnemar, he Shemesh Umagen Hashem Elokim. Shemesh, he had the lashon of wall. Rashi says it's a choyma. It doesn't mean the sun. That just like a Kodesh Baruch Hu protect like a wall, so too the Shimshon. If that's the case, the word Shemesh, you should not be able to go ahead and erase because it's the shame of Hashem. It's not Namish name of Hashem, it's similar to the name of Hashem. Just like Kodesh Baruch Hu protects the whole world. So to Shimshon protected all of Klal Yisrael. Bilam was a chigar, he was in one leg, he was lame. And Shnemar Vayelech Shefi, it says he walked limping. Shimshon chiga b'shtei raglav. And Shimshon, as I mentioned earlier, guys, he was a cripple, totally. Shnemar shfifon aliyarech. So Shefi is one leg. Shfifon, the double pay, alludes to the fact that that he was limp, and that's why it says like a snake, guys. A snake has to crawl along, right? It doesn't have legs. So to Shimshon was compared to a snake. Okay. There are 5 people who created with literally a L'Dugma B'Kodesh Baruch Hu. I mean, these 5 people had outstanding qualities, physical qualities. And each one of them was laka in their physical qualities, right? Shimshon b'koichai. Shimshon was his strength, right? Shol b'tzavaro, Shol with his neck. Literally, Shol was very tall. Mishikl Gamal Goem Mekol Avshalom b'Sarai, as we're going to see soon. Avshalom was this guy with beautiful, beautiful special hair that grew very quickly. And Tzidkiyo be'einov, Tzidkiyo with his eyes. Tzidkiyo was the last Melech of Melech Yehuda. And Asa Baraglov, Asa, an earlier Melech, grandson of great-grandson of David, Baraglov. He was at his feet. But if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Tzidkiyo be'einov, Rashi says Rashi, Lo yodanami nolon, tinishtan l'shevach. I don't know where Tzidkiyo had such unbelievable insight that it was nishtan l'shevach. V'chein Asa Baraglov, Kein Shama me rabbi, I heard from my Rebbe. So it seems that Tzidkiyo had unbelievable eyesight. What happened with Tzidkiyo, fellas, he had made a shvuah to Nebuchadnezzar. We saw the Gemara. He caught Nebuchadnezzar eating a rabbit. He mamish ate a live rabbit. He was such a, and he made him swear to him that he wouldn't tell anybody. He wouldn't inform anybody of it. And he didn't keep his shvuah. And he caught him. And how did he catch him? He went through a cave at night, and he came out the other side of the cave. And there was soldiers chasing after a deer. And Punktus, he came out of the cave, right? The deer passed by. So I saw a shot that the fact that he was able to go at night with in total darkness showed he had like unbelievable vision. Dr. Press, this is your research. That Tzidkiyo had unbelievable vision that he was able to, Ted Williams like, go ahead and walk through this tunnel. In fact, it says a fascinating thing. He was when Nebuchadnezzar caught him, he blinded him, but he wasn't blind right away. I saw Yalkut, he put things in his eyes, but he wasn't blinded till he killed his children. He killed his children in front of him, and then he went blind. That was Tzidkiyahu. And Asa, I don't know this the source for his legs, but these people had 5 qualities, and obviously we're bringing them in because of Shimshon. Now, where do we know they lost it? Says the Gemara, Shimshon b'koichai had dichsev vayasa koich me'elov. That is when she cut off his hair, that his strength left him. Again, his strength wasn't in his hair, guys. His strength in the fact that it was a nazir. Once he cut off the hair, he no longer was. He was a nazir that was over his naziris. Again, there's no strength in his hair. And Shimshon's strength was in the fact that he was a nazir mibet and imoy. As soon as he cut off the hair, he was over in his naziris, and therefore what? Therefore he lost his strength. Shalbet savaroi. The Chassid says, "Vayikach Shol es acherev vayipol." Shol took a sword and fell on it. The Shol is the a Ger Amaleki comes to report to David what happened, that he saw that Shaul was wounded and he committed suicide. He fell on his sword. Avshalom Bisaroi. Avshalom was with his hair. Come on, as we're going to see tomorrow's daf. Tzidka be'einav, tzidka in his eyes. Yichseves einei tzidkiyahu iver. And Nebuchadnezzar went ahead, he blinded Tzidkiyahu. Asa b'raglov, it says rakle eis ziknav choles ragloi. When he got older, then also he lost his ability to walk. What did he get? He got the disease pedagra. What's the disease pedagra? Amalei Mazucha Breda of Nachman of Yitzchak, Hechidami pedagra. Amalei kemachat bebasachai. It's like what? It's like a needle into raw flesh. We know yada. I think this is called gout, guys. This is gout. The gout is supposed to be like that. Mino yada. Ikidiyami mechesh havichash Breda of Nachman had this disease. Vikidiyami me Rabbi Shamalei heard it from his Rebbe. Vikidiyami Sayla Shem L'Reyav. Ubriya Asoy Loidia. Hakadosh Baruch Hu reveals his secret to those who fear him, and his bris to what those who loidia. Dorish Rava. Why was Asa punished? What did he do wrong that he lost his ability to walk? Because he took the Talmidei Chachamim and he took him into the army. No one was exempt from the draft. Even a chassan or a kala, they were passed into military service, right? And that's okay. Okay, we're going to leave Shimshon now, and we're going to go to the Maisa with Yehuda B'Tamar. Okay, you might go back to Yevamis Daf Beis, guys. I introduced Yevamis with the following. There was a Yibum has been around even before Matan Torah. In other words, you would think that we know there's certain Averis that the Zayin Mitzvahs Ben Noach, right? They were crucial for society. They were around before Matan Torah. But Yibum, we find Yibum as early as Yehuda B'Tamar. Yehuda had 3 sons, Er, Oina, B'Shelah. Er was married to a woman named Tamar, who according to Pshat was the daughter of Shem ben Noach. Er dies. Onan marries her. Onan dies. And Yehuda was worried that she was a katlana. She was a black widow. She killed people. So he didn't want Shelah to marry her. And time went on, and she was left like an aguna. She had no one broke the zika. Well, not there was zika, but the idea no one did yibam. And she was a tzadekis. She knew that she saw that Ruach HaKodesh, that Malchus is going to come from Yehuda. And Shelah wasn't doing anything, so she went ahead. She dressed up as a woman, a Kadesha. Yehuda comes along. He meets her. Again, there are many different ways to go ahead and try to figure this out. Many Mefarshim, she was a katana, she wasn't a katana. He was Makadesha, he wasn't Makadesha. People are going to great lengths to go ahead and figure out exactly what happened to Yehuda B'Tamar. I don't think you have to, guys. All you know is one thing. Anytime there's a union that is illicit, nothing good comes from that union. That was the biggest raya. We saw Masechta Shabbos, right? How could David and Bathsheba produce Shlomo? It's not possible. So obviously, what David did was wrong, but not what you think is wrong. And the same thing over here. From Yehuda is going to come 2 twins, Zerach and Peretz. Peretz will be the direct forefather of David HaMelech. So if Malchus comes from this union, clearly, guys, it was Mutta. Again, the best shot that I saw was the Ramban, and that's the one I go with. What's the whole reason for Yibum, guys? Says the Ramban, and I spoke this out, is Gilgal Neshama. This person left the world without leaving a child. This person left the world without leaving a child. That was it. He had no children. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to have your paternal brother, right? You can have your paternal brother go ahead and be miyabim your wife. And thus that child will be called Hashem Achib. That's your Gilgal. Before Matan Torah, if it wasn't your paternal brother, it was the closest possible relative. Therefore, Yehuda had a din of Yibum to Miyabim, what? Tamar, which eventually, and this is the Maisa, we're going to go through the whole sugya. This is the Ikka sugya in Shas that deals with Yehuda and Tamar. Okay, with that in mind, let's see. Kesiv, Vayered Shimshon Timnasa. Shimshon went down to Timnah. Ukesiv, that's where he married the Plishti woman. Ukesiv Hine Chomich Oila Timnasa. It says that by Yehuda, Tamar was told that your father was coming up to Timnah. So the Gemara is contrasting the lashon of Yerida to the lashon of Aliyah. Amr Balaza, Shimshon Shenizgana Ba, Shimshon who it was the Ganaife, Ksiv Be Yerida, it says Yerida. Yehuda Sheniz Alaba, Ksiv Be Aliyah. Reb Shmuel ben Achmeni Amar, Shtei Timnois, there were two Timnis, Chada Be Yerida, Chada Be Aliyah, one you go up, one you go down. Papa Amar, no, Chada Timnosab, there's only one. The Asim Hagisa Yerida, if you come from one direction, it's Yerida. With the Asim Hagisa Aliyah, if you go from the other direction, it's Aliyah. You go in the place that was known as Vardanya, Ubeibori, Beshuka, Dinarish. These are all places where you can come from two directions. But Tesha Pesach Einayim, what happened by Yehuda and Tamar, that she sat at what? At literally the crossroads, but where you're going to be dashed in the Pesach Einayim. Amrab Alexandria, what does Pesach Einayim mean? She sat at the place where Avram Avinu had sat before. Place all eyes would look forward to be seen. This is a place that all people they would want to go ahead and be seen. Because they went to eat there. As we're going to see. Rav Chonin Amarav, Makam Hu Sheshmoy Einayim. That's the name of a place. Tapuach Einayim. Rav Shmuel ben Achmeni Amar. She gave what? Einayim Lidvorecha Kishetava. That when Tamar went ahead and she go ahead and when Yehuda asked her B'Tayveya, she said something to him. Amallah, what did she say? Shema Nachris At. Maybe you're a Nachris. Amalei Giyoris. I'm a Giyoris. Shema Eshish At. Maybe you're an Eshish. Amalei Penuya. I'm a Penuya. Shema Kibabach Avicha Kedusha. Maybe your father accepted Kedusha of somebody else. Can you imagine, guys? This is a guy is proposing znus to a zayna, and give me. This is what you say. I mean, just an example of how people can go ahead and misread the whole story, right? He had lust and he went after, and it says the Malach pushed him in the direction. But look, he's not asking questions, says the Gemara, maybe your father was Mekabel Kedushim, Amallah Yisayma, I'm Yisayma. Maybe you're a Nida. I'm like Tayrani. In other words, I just find it so fascinating how people, just because of their own weaknesses, will find flaw with people in Tanakh. Like Halavai, our mitzvah should be as big as their Averis. Now it's said by Avram Avinu, Vayita Eshel Avram. He said it Beersheba. It says Avram planted a tree in Beersheba. Amar Reish Lakish, Malamed She'asa Pardes. He made a Pardes, an orchard. V'notabol Kol Mini Megadim, and he planted all kinds of fruit trees over there. That's the Eshel Avraham. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yanach, Chano, and Pardes. One says the Pardes, V'chano, Pundik. One says it's a Pundik. Now, I once heard a very beautiful shot from the B'Shem Kotzke guys. There was this person who was a tremendous machnas areach, and and his house burnt down, and he was really bothered, very troubled. Why that happened to him? He went to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, "What do you do when you have a guest?" He goes, "I give him to eat and I give him to drink." And he goes, "What do you do?" He goes, "And then they leave." He goes, "That's why your house burned down." From Avinu it says, "Eshel Avraham, Achila, Shtia." And the lamed for Leviah, you have to accompany the person after they leave. You aren't accompanying the person. What are you left with, guys? Eish. You're left with Achil Shtia, Eish. And therefore burnt down the house. That's the Eshel Avram. Shem the Kotzke Rebbe. Now, Bishlam Lamad Yom of Pardes, Vayita, it said what? Vayita. He planted something. Lamad Yom of Pundik that it was in. My Vayita. What's Lashon Vayita? Kidachsiv, Vayita Ole Apandai. He'll pitch his tents right by the palace. So you see that making a house can be considered Vayita. It says Vayikra Sham Hashem Keloilam. It says over there Vayikra Sham Hashem Keloilam that Avram Avinu will call out Hashem's name over there in Eshel Avram. Amrei Shlakish, what did he do? Atikra Vayikra. Don't say Vayikra he called. Ella Vayakri. He caused Hashem's name to be called out. He caused Hashem's name to be called out. Malamed Shehikri Avram Avinu l'Shmoi Shel Kadosh Baruch Hu Pekol Oiver V'Shav. He caused that the name of Hashem should be called out, and the name of anyone who would come there. Ketzad La'achar Shasu V'Shasu. After they would eat and drink, Amdul Varchai would stand at the bench. Amalehem. They would want to bench Avram. Amalehem. But Chimish Achaltem. You didn't ask. Go ahead. Mishal Keolam Achaltem. Hodu V'Shafu Baruch Hu L'Mishama B'Hoya Olam. Listen, fantastic guys. Look at it on the side. You should have a Gemara that says Tais V'Shans. You should have a parish on the side of the Gemara that says Tais V'Shans. I'll read it to you. V'chi Mishali Achaltem. Hodu Baruch Hu L'Mishama B'Hoya Olam. Go give praise to the one who created the world. Yesh B'Medrash. They didn't willingly want to go ahead and make a bracha. Listen to this extortion. Pay up. Either give a bracha or pay the bill. Listen to this. Which is sisen. Pay up for what you ate or drank. Whatever, you know what the bill is, it's expensive. This is reserve cut, baby. This is an expensive place. You know why? They were in the midbar. You got to pay for transportation costs, right? To bring it out over here, right? You know, he made a bracha, and he didn't have to pay anything. Avram extorted them, right? He said, listen, you got to either pay the bill or give a bracha. Guess what? When it comes to geld, it's an under revel. They're going to give the bracha willingly. So Avram Avinu used extortion. Very, 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 very cute shot. Taisa shots. Says the Gemara Vayta. It says, "Vayira Yehuda saw her. Vayachshvel is Zaina. He thought she was a Zaina. Why was she a Zaina? He kissed up in her. She covered her face." It says the Gemara, "When kissed up in her, Chashvel is Zaina. Usually Zainas don't cover their faces." I'm Rav Elazar. She kissed up in her Beis Chamia. The fact that he saw she was a Zaina, she was sitting with Beis in the crossroads, where she was sitting where she wasn't supposed to be sitting, and the fact that she covered her face is because she always covered her face in her father's house. No, Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Rav Yonason, Kol Kalashi Tznu of Beis Chamia in her father-in-law's house. You have Malachim Neviim. So she had kings come from all the kings came from her, Neviim, and you had Neviim that came from her. Where do you see Neviim came from Tamar? Menala Mitamar Neviim Dichsiv. Hazon Yeshayahu ben Amutz. Right now, guys, Yeshaya is a Navi, and we have a Messiah. Anytime he mentions the name of the Navi's father, he was also a Navi. So it says Yeshayahu ben Amutz. So now you have what? You have two Neviim. Malachim, it says David, from David. Ramab Levi, David Zeh Messiah b'Yadeinu me'Avasenu. Amitz v'Amatzia Achim Habe. When it says Amitz v'Amatzia, they were brothers. So you have two Neviim. He might sas, it says he missay. It's not that she was found. Right? What is that? What is it? Who might say to me as she was taken out, right? She would be taken out to be killed. It says he musayis mi boyle. Since she was mitzayis, that she was taken out. So Amr Abelazar, after she found the simanim, she had given Yehuda had given her a ring and a staff as a riot, whoever to pay up when he had something to pay her with. Okay, both Samuel Verichkan, Samuel, the Sar of Esav, who saw that Malchus is going to come from this union, the enemy of Esav, wanted to stop the birth of Esav from happening. So what did he do? He went ahead and put away the siman. She couldn't find it. But Gavriel came along with Gavriel, Kivon. He brought them closer. That means so she found it. And Hainu Dechsiv, Lametzeach al Yoines Elam. Lamatzeach al Yonis Elam, the dove that's quiet, Rechoikim, the David Michtam. Right, so that's Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mishoshin Israchna Simonim. The dove here is Tamar, and she was quiet when the Simonim were not there. And what happened? Nasis Kiyonis Ilema, so she was quiet. But the David Michtam, she yotzim imenu David shahaya moch v'tam. David was moch v'tam. Rashi says he was humble. Rashi says Tam, and he was what? He was perfect in all his ways. Another pshat is he was gemalit, moch, in a place where a person has bris milah, he was tam, he was gemalit. Dav racher, right? Michtam shahoisa makosei tama. Right, that his makkah was tam. Shenoilik shumal, he was noiled moil. The Gemara Menachah says that he was felt bad. He was in the bet house David, and he was orim for mitzvahs until he looked down and saw his bris milah. It was dachakashi. He never had a bris milah. Like this Gemara, he never had a bris milah. So Bishlein and Madiyama says a person who's born gemalit requires toughest dam to go ahead let a little blood. He had a makam amila, so he did a mitzvah. But like the Madiyama, if you're born gemalit, you do not need anything. Why was David looking out? And the answer is that the mitzvah of mila is tamid on a person. So he was looking at the place where where people, it was a bristle that, every single day that you are gemalit, according to the Pshatim, Beis Levi, that every single day that you're gemalit is considered what? It's considered a mitzvah. So therefore, that's what he's looking at. Even when he was younger, he learned with people who were, was bigger. When he was great in Torah, so to David, he never lost his anivus. It's a very nice Rashi over here, very short Rashi. Rashi says, he was tama from the beginning of his life to the end. He never was lacking in his humility. David exemplified David Amelech with all his greatness. Throughout his life, remained humble. Throughout his life, he remained humble. Again, we find that midah of humility, the greatest of all midas, by Moshe, by David, you find the greatest people is humility. We just did the whole Gemara with Gasei Ruach, guys, right? We did the whole Gemara, the opposite. We did the Gemara of Gasei Ruach and the terrible things that happen to a person to Gas Ruach. It says, "V'hi shalcha el chamia leimar lish asher ela lo yanochi hara." From this, she said to whoever was the man, whoever is the man, that I'm hara, I'm pregnant. No, what? Yes, he does.
This is Gemara. Sorry.
The Tamale Maimer. Why didn't she say outright? Why didn't she go ahead and say to why didn't you say openly? Right? Amazuch Batuvia Amarav, Vimilo Amarav Chana Babizna Amarav Shimon Chasida, right? Vimilo Ach Amarav Yochanan Mishum Vishim Ben Yochai. Better person should go ahead and put himself into a kivshan eish than to embarrass somebody. So she went ahead and she sent actually two messengers. One, whoever this belongs to, and then she said that one, that's the father of the child, so no one would know. We know from Tamar. Hakena, she said, please recognize this, that again, these items. Amrav Chama Reb Chanina, Bahaka Bisala Aviv. When she said Yehuda, when he went ahead and he told, they cut off the clothing of Yosef, right? It says to go ahead and recognize that. Bahaka Bisur, right? They should recognize this as well. Bahaka Bisar, go ahead, just like your father recognized the clothing of Yosef. Hakana Kusainis Mincha, Bahaka Bisur. They informed Yehuda, right, that he should recognize this. Hakana Lemi. No, what does no mean? Please. Ain't no lashon bakasha. Amalei, right? Hakan Pinei Baracha, go ahead and recognize your Kadosh Baruch Hu. About Talamei Nef Mimecha, don't hide your eyes from me. What did Yehuda answer? Very famous words. Yehuda Yemet Sakami Many. She's more mutztek than I am. She's better than I am. And I don't Reb Chana Babizna Reb Shimon Chasida. Yosef Shekida Shem Shemayim B'Seisa. Yosef was Mekadosh Shem Shemayim B'Seisa. Zachav Esiflo Yosef Achas Mishmai. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Chesiv, it says Edus Behi Yosef Shemai. Instead of saying Yosef Yosef, Yehuda Shekida Shem Shemayim B'Fahesha publicly. Zachav V'Nikru Kuli Al Shemai Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu. The name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is found in Yehuda. Now the answer, obvious question is that by Yehuda he had already been named previously, right? He had already been named already. So what do you mean? He was born Yehuda. Pam Oideli Es Hashem, says Leah. So the Marsha says he should have been named Oideh. I give thanks. But the Ruach HaKodesh, he named him Yehuda because of this Maisa, that he would publicly go ahead. That a name also is Goyim, is causes certain things to cause a person to do things. It might be the reason it was Moida, because why? Because this reason. Once he said Tzchatim Meni, Yotze Baskal Ba'omra, Ata Yitzalta Tamar Shnei Banecha Min Ha'or, you saved Tamar and her two sons from the fire. Hayecha Shani Matzal B'Schuscha, two sons were what? She was pregnant with twins, guys, right? She was pregnant with twins. So you save Tamar and two sons. I'm going to save three of your descendants. Who are they? My Ninu, Shnan Yishol, Va'azariah. Right, those three will be saved as a result of this action. Salkami many, Mino Yoda. How do you know, in fact, that she said that, but how did you know that she was pregnant from him? Yatsa Baskal Vomar, me many Yatsuk Fusim. From me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes out deep things. But it says, Vayasa Void Daita, he never stopped being with her. What does that mean? Amashmul Sabachuma, the Rashmul, Barami, Mishmei, the Mashmul, Barami. Kevin Shayada, once he knew that she was right, she was Tzedekis, Shuvlai Pasuk, man, he never stopped living with her. This Chuluki Deis. Ksiv Chachav, Vayasa Void Daita, Ksiv Hasam, Kol Godel, Lo Yosef. It says what? By Matan Torah, it says a great sound that did not stop. Okay, and Bez Hashem, I think we'll pick up tomorrow with Avshalom. Okay, I think tomorrow I'm going to say in the evening, guys. I'm not, the morning, whether I'll be in shul or not. I should be in shul. There's no reason not to be in shul unless one or two people show up, and then there's no reason to be in shul. Okay, so I'll try to be in shul at 8:15. I'll put it out. I'll put it out. Watch the